You're listening to Last Word Radio, where you get the last word.
Welcome to the Fourth Line Podcast, part of the Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB. This is May the 1st, 2018. With you today is myself, Carl, and the always wonderful Joel. Happy May Fool's Day.
No.
Yes, Joel.
No.
It's May 1st.
We're talking about the NFL draft. Is that the plan today?
Yeah, we're going to go deep into the NFL draft. Calgary native Mike Soroka is making his Major League Baseball debut with the Atlanta Braves today. We're going to talk about that for a little bit.
Good. Well, I'm much more excited. It's May Fool's Day!
We might talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs.
No.
Their new general man. No?
I'm not talking about hockey. It's
okay.
done. So.
Okay. Yeah, let's get into it. It is May. We are on a Tuesday, and the reason that we are on a Tuesday is something very important. Joel, do you want to let everyone know why we were recording this on a Tuesday?
Because I crushed a baseball yesterday when we were supposed to be recording.
Why did you crush a baseball?
Because we decided to play some beer league slow pitch.
That is true. The Fourth Line Podcast has been united on a slow pitch team. It was a very exciting night. Our expectations, I told the team that I had high expectations for fun, low expectations for winning, which I think is what everyone wants in a leader. As the captain of the team, which I am, I think that's what everyone wants, is someone to say that I have no low expectations for you. I tell you that every time we record an episode of the podcast. I say, Joel, my expectations for this week, incredibly low. And it brings the best out of you, I find.
I actually we also had official Swedish person. What are they called? Swedes. The official Swede of the Fourth Line Podcast. He was also crushing some balls with us.
Yeah, exactly. Caleb, who we've had, he's been on the twice on the show?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. He was on the team, or a sub / possibly full-time member. He did well. Anyways, we won. That's the most important thing. We won. We had fun, and that's why the show is today.
I didn't have fun, but I won.
Okay,
so that was good. I don't have fun. Fun's not when you're playing sports. Fun's not a thing. You win or you lose.
Okay. I guess
we played against a bunch of cops, and
is that what they were?
Yeah, they were cops. They were not nice. They kept on claiming they were nice, but they were not.
Oh, I didn't know they were cops. That makes sense. Someone said that they were getting off duty. I assumed that they were nurses.
I actually asked because the one girl was like, "Yeah, like we all work day shifts." I was like, "Oh, so like healthcare?"
Yeah, that's what I assumed.
No, we're cops. I was like, "Oh, that makes way more sense than why you guys are jerks."
They were sticklers to the rules. Which
not
makes sense
really.
If you're cops.
Not really. They were making rules up.
Yeah, I don't think they understood the rules.
Yeah.
Which is, I guess if you're a cop, you should figure out the rules before you enforce it.
The one that was really upset, though, I was proud to say every time she got up to the plate, I got her out. Every time.
Yeah, that's good on you. Joel played a mean shortstop.
Carl almost broke someone.
Yep.
So you just hit a rocket of a ball at the pitcher. I don't believe it was on purpose. Carl doesn't have any.
100% was not. No.
Okay. Carl does not hate cops.
Most certainly not. No.
Just in case there's any
I just found
out
they were cops. How could I?
That's your game. That's your game. That's how you play. That so that nobody knows.
Yeah, for those law enforcement individuals listening. No, yeah, it was a good night. Anyways, we are here to talk. I know very, very little on what actually happened in the NFL draft. So I might suggest we steer away from that, talk some hockey. But first, let's remind everyone about the fine folks at ATB Financial. They are supporters of the Alberta Podcast Network, a great collection of podcasts focused around Alberta, made in Alberta, talking about Alberta. Anyways, ATB, they support hockey throughout the province of Alberta, and it's a very great thing to do. As well, if you get to atb.com/listens, they will be able to tell you how, or you can tell them. This is very distracting. Joel is YMCA. As I'm doing this, Joel's YMCA-ing ATB. It's very difficult.
I think ATB appreciates it.
Yeah, if this was a video podcast, they most certainly would. If this was going up on the YouTube, they would love that. If I had the old Instagram out and I was recording that, they would have, but I didn't. atb.com/listens. Let them know how you can help, how they can help you, and from that, what you can do together. So head over to atb.com/listens. Find out how ATB, our favorite bank, our bank of choice here at the Fourth Line, is able to help you. They want to know from you. So head on over. That will be a thing. So Joel,
Yo,
what do you want to start with? There's
hockey.
Well, that's what we're doing. I'm sorry. This is what we do. It's called the Fourth Line Hockey Podcast.
Can we change it to the Fourth Line Football Podcast?
Like the fourth offensive lineman? No?
Like, you know, in the depth chart? Or like, yeah. Okay,
like fourth string lineman podcast?
Yeah, we could be that.
Okay. Fourth down podcast. We don't talk CFL ever. That's what that means, which is fine.
Just us and the rest of the world.
Exactly.
Heyo, take that Canadian football.
Let's start with the Leafs. Lou Lamoriello.
Yeah.
His contract as the general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs came to an end.
It's true, which we all knew was coming.
We all knew. This was not a surprise. His original contract had him signed 3 years as the GM and 4 years as a special advisor to the team. And that came to fruition and it was announced that he would be no longer the general manager, that they would not try to extend him in that role. As a resident Toronto Maple Leafs expert, what does Lou actually do now? Have they said what he's special advising? Is he staying as a special advisor? What's his deal?
I don't know. That's my guess is he stays on unless someone offers him a GM job, at which point the Leafs would probably let him go, right?
Because that's how the Leafs got him, right? He was essentially a special advisor with the Devils, and the Leafs were like, "Hey, do you want to GM again?" And he came over, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, but it was always weird. Like, he never fully knew if he was the GM or if it was somebody else.
I think it wasn't until this year that I actually felt like he was the general manager of the team. Because for so long, there was so many, like, was it Shanny? Was it Dubas? Was it Mark Hunter? Was it...
It's never been Dubas. That's never been a thing.
Well, it's like, because his official title isn't even with the Leafs right now, right? Or does he have a Leafs title? I
don't know. Is he with the Marlies? Is that...
From what that's what I assume, but you are our resident Leafs. I think that's kind of his direction.
I think he's like assistant general manager to the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Okay. And also was the GM of the Marlies. So, yeah.
So I don't know what Lou Lamoriello will do now, but like he's probably getting paid fairly well right now.
To do not really a whole lot. Potentially.
No. Potentially. I'm sure he'll help. I think everyone expects Dubas to get hired as the GM.
Of the Leafs.
Of the Leafs, yes. That is my guess. He's currently the assistant GM. I think the idea was when Lou got hired that he would do it for those 3 years and then Dubas would get it. Because it's not going to be Mark Hunter. I will be very surprised if it is. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. It's kind of whatever. I don't think Lou will get offered another job. He's really old.
75 years old. He is he's more than double the age of Kyle Dubas. So,
yeah, apparently Dubas is he's like one of those like young analytics type,
and like actually an analytics type, because it's
yeah.
So,
which is interesting because I wonder how him and Babcock will get along.
Which I assume that they know that, right? Like, there have been enough interactions where the Leafs know how Babcock listens to what Dubas suggests or tells him.
Right. And so, like, because, like, Babcock, like, he, like, kind of talks like he embraces analytics, and then he plays Polak for 82 games.
And
so
Matt Martin and Uncle Leo for a bunch more.
He did give up on those two, though, which was surprising.
It's true.
Because Matt Martin hasn't played since January. Leo didn't get his job back, even though he was healthy. So, do you think it's Dubas, or do you think they go outside the organization?
No, I think it's Dubas. It's either Dubas, and then, like, my next further down would be Mark Hunter, and then like a very, very small chance of outside the organization. I don't see, they have such a wealth of talent that like they've clearly been grooming and working together to build this team, that it doesn't make sense that they would bring somebody else into this role.
Yeah, it's not surprising. I think is it just me, or do you feel like the hockey world expected them to just let Lou keep doing this? Like, everyone seemed to put off that it was like, holy smokes, Lou Lamoriello is not in anymore. And I'm like, that's not really surprising.
Like, that's literally what they told him they wanted.
Yeah.
And signed him to do. And gave him a different role afterwards. Like, this was the plan. The Shanna plan included him only being the general manager for 3 years.
Yeah, like, and I don't know, like, there's nothing that says that he should have kept going. Like, he wasn't doing a terrible job. He wasn't doing an amazing job, I don't think. It wasn't like it just kind of was like, yeah, it's time for him to be done. Dubas knows these, like, the Marlies guys. There's going to be, this Leafs roster is about to be like a fairly major turnover. It's not going to be, for a playoff team, they are going to have quite a bit of turnover.
Yeah, because at least I am assuming that both Bozak and JVR are gone. Are you in the same boat?
Yeah, those two are gone. Plekanec's gone. Leo Komarov is going to be gone. Matt Martin, they're going to try and trade, and he's on a small enough contract that they can probably convince a team to take him for like a third or fourth round pick or something like that. You've got Polak is probably, if Dubas is in charge, there's no way Polak's coming back to this team. There's no way. Joffrey Lupul is gone. Tim Gleason is gone. Jared Cowan is gone. Mikhail Grabowski, he's still got like 8 years on his buyout. But whatever.
That's not a cap thing, though, right?
It's not a cap, no.
Yeah.
But like, that's a significant. It's not a small amount of people that are gone for
it's very true.
Playoff team. So it'll be interesting. So whoever is the next GM is going to have a lot. So the next GM has to get Matthews signed.
I was going to say that that entire list doesn't include the RFAs who need to get signed as well. So
yeah, so that it'll be interesting. You know who they're not going to get as their GM? I'm fairly certain of this.
Who?
Brian Burke.
Ooh, yeah, he is out in Calgary. I guess he's not out in Calgary. He's out of Calgary. He is no longer with the Calgary Flames, stepping down from that role, which like seems kind of like, I'm not sure how much of that was actually him stepping down or like just a mutual kind of thing. And it's like, hey, do you want to quit so we don't have to fire you?
Just to kind of like, we respect what you've done for hockey and for us. We'll let you save a little bit of face.
Yeah. Which, like, the Flames in general are in a very odd spot. Honestly, after him stepping down, I wanted nothing more than the Flames to win the draft lottery on the weekend and have to give that pick to the New York Islanders. I wanted to see that reaction so bad. There was, not having a horse in the race. I just wanted some entertainment, and I wanted to watch, as we had to wait 2 periods to find out who actually had it once they named the top 3. I wanted Calgary to be in that top 3 so bad, just to watch everyone lose their mind.
Yeah. I was listening to his interview on the Calgary radio station today.
Like he did a new one? Or
yeah, he did a new one. Yeah, okay. So they had him on. They had him on today, and nothing really surprising that was talked about. But right afterwards, they were like, "Well, what does Burke do now?" Right, and all of them were like, "Oh, replace Don Cherry."
Yeah, because he's on Sportsnet now. Like that's what that's what he's doing. So everyone assumes that Cherry is gone this year and Burke's going to take over. Or not ever. There's lots of talk about Don Cherry being done. Yes, which we've talked about that being long in need, but
this is the first time I've actually heard talk of him being done on Coach's Corner, though.
Well, and having another name connected to it, right? Which, if anyone should replace him, we've literally gotten more cantankerous than Don Cherry. Like, we've replaced Don Cherry with a younger, angrier version of Don Cherry if we go Brian Burke.
Yeah, I don't know. Is Burke an actual rumor? I don't think so. I think that was just speculation.
I think there's a lot of people that kind of want, quote unquote, him, or think he should, or
I do not like those people.
Well, they're out there.
You're not one of them, are you?
No, he did better than I thought he would on the broadcast, because so often he, when he does an interview himself, he gives so little, right? Like, he gives short answers, he gives angry comments. It never seems like he's happy. It's like Joel playing slow pitch when you interview Brian Burke. He's just he doesn't smile. It's terrible. So I expected when he was on TV to have that same persona out, and it wasn't. He had, I thought at least he was contributing to the conversations, something positive that I was like, okay, that's an interesting perspective to have. I think part of the problem with that is if you do that full time, you start to lose that perspective, right? When you go from being in that role in a front office to being just a GM, you start to lose that, this is what I recently did. These are, how I did it. And you start to just be a TV guy. And so I think in the long term, Burke would probably not be someone I would want to have on my television.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you?
But I think, so Calgary, again, needing to bring someone into that role, I don't think it really matters. There's so many vacancies that they need to take care of. But
that's not GM, though.
No, it's president of hockey operations.
So so it really depends on your organization. Because some organizations, president of hockey operations is almost just like a meaningless title. Yeah. In some organizations, they have almost more pull than the GM. So that'll be interesting to see where the Flames go. Does Trey Leaving get lots of say, or do they bring in a high profile president of hockey operations? And does that president of hockey operations keep the GM? Exactly.
Yeah, that's a big question, and we'll see when they act to fill that role. Because with the draft, I would say if you're smart and you finished out of the playoffs and you need to rebuild a team, you probably shouldn't fire a general manager a month before the draft. But people have done stupider things, and not everyone makes the right choices. So we'll see what happens with the Flames. Lots of front office things happening. because also now the Carolina Hurricanes are without anyone. Ron Francis was officially, they changed his role out of the general manager role to like I believe he was actually, I think one of these title roles, right? Like a figurehead. But he's now no longer with the Carolina Hurricanes. They have relieved him of his duties.
They were hoping that guy was going to quit.
That is 100% what they were hoping for, yeah. They were like, Ron, look, like you're a legend with the team. The fans love you. Can you quit so we don't have to fire you? Didn't happen.
He was like, nope, because no one's going to hire me.
Yeah, I don't have a backup plan here. So yeah, he is out in Carolina. Today they brought in a new president of hockey operations, Mr. Rick Dudley, coming in from Montreal, which seems like a terrible decision. But again, I don't, senior VP to now coming over to Carolina. Unless you now have a GM and a coach, this is the guy who's going to be in charge of it. And I don't know. We've seen what he managed to do in Montreal with their management situation. Whatever.
Yeah, should we get to some of the playoffs? Most people are probably wishing we were talking about playoffs at this point.
Yeah.
Much as they're done, right? The playoffs are over.
Second round. There's second round still. Yeah.
Oh.
I think you might have been looking at the NFL playoffs still. I think you were on NFL.com. It's an easy, the letters are only 2 apart on the keyboard. I understand the difficulties.
I wish they were done.
You wish they were done. Let's start with Boston and Tampa, the last series to get started. And to me, has had the most interesting of moments this this round, potentially. Tuukka Rask. He threw a big old temper tantrum this week when his skate blade fell out. Not able to move across, not able to push off as well when you don't have a blade in that skate. Started yelling for the refs to call it dead, did not. And I know that you take issue with what he did after the Lightning scored their goal, throwing his blade in frustration.
I'm so annoyed. So, I'm annoyed at Rask, and I'm annoyed at the NHL. He throws that blade 2 feet higher and hits somebody with it. I'm not exaggerating that you could potentially kill somebody doing that.
It's only a knife, essentially, Joel. It's fine.
I don't know if you've seen... So, I get it. Most people's skates, not always the sharpest. Maybe they get sharpened. I don't know how often people sharpen their skates. Like the average person that skates.
My skate blades are the hottest of messes. That's for sure.
So, NHL players probably have new blades and getting sharpened. They get their blades sharpened in intermissions. Yeah,
they're fresh.
So we're not talking about a dull blade. We are talking about an extremely sharp blade. I'm not a goalie. I don't understand. I know that goalies wear different skates, but I'm guessing they're sharp.
Also sharp.
So, I don't know if you've seen highlights of guys getting sticks or get skates in the throat, because that's happened before in the NHL, and it is not cool. I just do not see how the NHL is totally okay with this. They're totally okay with it.
It is baffling to me. The fact that nothing happened makes it better, but this is a guy who took it and threw it across the ice. I 100%. For all the things that have been suspended, for Evander Kane getting suspended for cross-checking, Pierre Edward Belmar getting suspended a game for cross-checking in the face, that's fine. Sure, you cross-checked a guy in the face. You should be punished for that. But throwing a skate blade across the ice?
Against, it wasn't even, it was against the glass.
Yeah.
Was it not?
Which is, not the, you can get things through there. You could slip and throw it up over the glass. Like, that ends up in the crowd? Come on.
Seriously, you hit a kid with that?
Yeah.
Like, I know that you are actually talking about serious injury or worse. If you, like, that's the potential if it hits the right way. And the NHL was like, nope, we're not even going to worry about this. The guy should be gone for, like, I don't even, like, if they had suspended him for a year, I wouldn't have been upset.
A year?
I would just been like, yeah. No, I think it's incredibly dangerous and incredibly childish to throw, like, we're going out of the range of, you're moving out of the range of making an unrational decision in a split second. He was mad. Like, I guess, like, you'll argue it was unrational, but it was not like he had a split second to make that decision to hit someone in the head or not with his elbow or shoulder. He had the thought process to pick up the blade, yell at people, and then throw it. It's the same. I made the comparison of Marty McSorley chasing down Donald Brashear and not in a split second deciding, but in several seconds deciding, I'm going to take my stick and hit him in the side of the head.
Right, but he didn't. I think the difference between those is that he didn't. Like, if he had thrown it at an official, that would have been different, right? Like, it was definitely reckless for sure, but it's a little different than that.
The result could have been worse than that, though.
It could have been, but I guess you have to look at.
So it's okay because it didn't end up that way.
Well, and that's the NHL's logic for sure. That it didn't, so they don't have to worry about punishing him. Instead, they'll show it, they'll publicize it all over their website, right? Tuukka Rask losing his mind, and it'll be all over everywhere. And Tuukka,
yeah, obviously, I don't expect, like, there was no way he's not going to get suspended for a year. But I wouldn't have been upset if he had been. I would have been like, yeah, that was reckless, idiotic, and childish. I have a son that throws things in a tantrum. Like that, like, He's
2.
He's 2. He doesn't comprehend. And you know what happens when he throws something? He gets punished because he gets his timeout. He's not allowed to play with that toy anymore.
Well, Tuukka doesn't get skate blades for the rest of the playoffs. That's his punishment. You've taken it away.
What would you have done as far as punishment? If you were George Peros or whatever, I guess that's not a player safety issue. I don't know. Like, that's probably the reason. Like, Uncle Gary's probably sitting there and is like, I don't know who should suspend him.
I think I think it would still be the Department of Player Safety. If I'm sitting there, I would have given him at least a game. I would have given him, at worst, in game. You give that an unsportsmanlike. Connor McDavid got an unsportsmanlike penalty for slamming his stick on the ice after a call went against him. The Boston Bruins have now had Brad Marchand do the exact same thing and also thrown a skate blade and gotten no unsportsmanlike penalties. I get the fact that rules change in the playoffs and you call penalties differently. That's not one that should be called differently. If you're going to act like a child or be unsportsmanlike, that still is a penalty in the playoffs.
And I could care less, like, that the puck went in. I could care less about that.
If he hadn't been throwing a hissy fit, that puck might not have gone in.
True, but also you're an adult playing a game. You were playing a game. So here, this is my question. So you said a game, at worst, the game 2 feet higher and hits a fan. What happens?
You hit a fan with that skate blade and you are suspended, I don't know, at least, I want to say at least 20, But I'm thinking like 40. I don't think it would be a year, but you hit a fan with that skate blade, you were gone at least 20. I would want 40.
So that's the difference between 2 feet.
Yeah.
Is 1 game and 40.
Yeah, a minimum of 20 versus a minimum of 1. And like my bare minimum is at least an unsportsmanlike, which is like a 2-minute penalty.
And the thing is, he was in a fit of rage. It wouldn't have taken much for that 2 feet to change.
Yeah, I don't think he was looking. He wasn't aiming, right? He wasn't trying to be like, all right, got to make sure this stays in the arena. Fairly certain that didn't cross his mind.
I just think I cannot get my head around that they didn't, like, it wasn't even, like, you didn't even hear about it. No one, like, I don't even get, like, and this is on the media too. They're not even making a big deal about it.
For sure. Yeah, no one's clamoring for this suspension to happen.
Like, I guarantee you, a baseball player throws a bat against the backstop.
In a fit of rage?
In a fit of rage, he's getting suspended. Did you know that you throw your helmet after getting struck out in baseball and you usually get ejected?
You'll probably, and you hit someone with it and you're getting suspended. A helmet, which is like no one's ever gotten hurt, as far as I'm aware, from a helmet bouncing off the ground.
Bryce Harper tried to throw a helmet at a guy, and I think he got like 5 games.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't even close, and he still got 5 games. But yet, like, so it just shows I'm disgusted with the NHL on this. Just disgusted that this is just not an issue. Like I don't care. I don't care that nothing happened. I don't care that the play should have been called dead. I don't care about anything other than an adult playing a game should know better than to whip a knife across the ice. Like
knives should not be thrown at any point in time.
It's dumb. And I can't believe, like, Rask should be embarrassed. The NHL should be embarrassed. And I think the media should be embarrassed that this is not that big of an issue. It's just, it's dumb.
Agreed. Yeah. The series itself, Tampa's really dominated play. They game 1 lost 6-2, but had 31-22 shot attempts, shots on net, double what Boston had for shot attempts. Even if you look at like score adjusted, Tampa greatly outshot Boston, made up for that in game number 2, coming out on top. And that was at home. I think we're going to see a lot of Tampa in this series. I expect them to continue on this trend from game 2 into game 3, which will be on Wednesday night. What do you think, Joel?
I think Tampa's going to win this. They pushed back good. And so I don't know.
Yeah.
I hate Boston.
Well, and that's part of it, right? You have the Boston dislike. There's the fact that they eliminated your Leafs, and then the fact that they got away with the skate incident. A lot of reasons for us to just generally try to put aside biases to pick Boston. It's probably not going to happen though. So I didn't think there was going to be a time that I would like a player less than Brad Marchand, but like, man, Tuukka Rask is making a push for that. He's like, what a child. Like, I wish we were like big enough in sports media that we could have him on the show so I could tell him he's a child. Because like that, like I would have no problems doing that. And then that would end any time, any chance that we would get. Last chance, yeah.
Yeah, to have any NHL player on. And it would be totally worth it. I'd be entirely happy about it.
Yeah. Unless like the ones who don't do childish things. Like the ones who are like, yeah, I'm okay going on their show because they're honest. And
actually, every other team would be okay because they'd be like, yeah, we hate Boston too.
Yeah, we also think that you shouldn't do that.
So do you think this is going to be a long series? Do you think 7? Do you think 6? Do you think 5? Where are you at?
I think the fact of how it's went, so far, I look at it and I say it's probably going to go, I'd say 6. I would say 6. Tampa in 6 is probably where I'd be sitting on this. The first round or the second round so far, I love the fact that like it was a home split for both teams in all the series, right? Like that's what I want in the second round. You want these to start getting competitive. You want them to start getting close, and everyone has been. We're gonna now get into the rest of them, but that's what I love is the fact that like these are all questions. Like there's no series that I look at and I'm like, hands down, this team's gonna advance, no doubt about it.
Did you know that this is the first time in NHL history that's happened?
Of every series going 1-1?
In the second round.
Well, there you go. That's why I like it so much. It's history.
I don't know if that's I I forget where I saw that stat today. Someone said it. I don't know if it's actually true.
We're gonna roll with it as if it is true. So deal with it.
Where you want to? Which series next? You want to stay in the East?
Yeah, let's stay East. Washington and Pittsburgh.
Your former girlfriend.
Yeah. Washington managed to come back in game 2. I was everyone. I don't know if you saw the hubbubaloo caused by game number 2. Some of the calls. A lot of learning about parallax. I saw a lot of people talking about how you can tell if a puck is or is not over the line, and how different things and how thick the ice is, and a lot of math. A lot of math was happening, but like also just a lot of people saying like, I feel when you start to include numbers and feelings at the same time, it usually goes poorly for you.
Yeah. Like it's weird. So like these series have been close as far as like tied, but like the games haven't felt that same way.
Like the East series, the West have, but
the Knights won a game 7-0.
Okay, not that game. I was more referring to the 2 games that went to overtime.
Fair, but I was like, and I guess we have like the series are close. We have some games that are close, but then we also have a bunch of games that aren't close.
Yeah,
like so because like what I don't know. Do you think because like the Caps actually they look like the better team by far the last game, regardless of that non-goal or whatever.
Right, and that's the issue, right? Like, to me, everyone was making a big deal about it. Pens fans were all upset. To me, I look at that and I say, Washington still should have won that game, no matter what. Even if you can say, well, things change when you score a goal. Washington was the better team. I personally don't think it affected the outcome of the game very much, and I'm glad. Moving forward, I think we're going to see a lot of, consistent play from the Pens, a little bit of that pushback we'll see from the Caps in game 2 is what we saw in the first round, right? Like they lost the first 2 games to Columbus and then won the last 4. Pittsburgh this may surprise you, Joel. Pittsburgh better than Columbus.
That's factual. I still think this series doesn't matter because whoever wins it is going to lose to whoever wins the other series.
Maybe. I would give the favor to Tampa Boston probably, yeah.
I don't think they're less impressive, these 2 teams, than Tampa Boston.
That's fair.
So
let's head over to what you mentioned, 7-0 for the Knights. But then 2 bounce. I wouldn't say bounce back, but like 2 games to go in overtime. 1 double, the second 1 overtime. San Jose looked definitely in the second game. They looked like the better team to me. In the third game as well. I'm liking this series. I'm liking, like, obviously playoff overtime, you're going to like it anyways, but it's fun watching a close series by these teams, and whatever San Jose made the necessary adjustments after losing 7-0.
Yeah, does the NHL, like, is the NHL, like, upset that the two best, like the two, probably the two most entertaining series are the West ones, and so, like, they're super late nights? I guess the Winnipeg is not a terrible time zone, but, like, these Sharks Vegas games are starting so late.
Yeah, even, like, the double OT game started at a fairly reasonable time, didn't end until, I think, 10:30 Mountain Time.
Yeah, I'm just looking. I guess Game 6 could be somewhat of an afternoon game, but, like, the next two are the 8 p.m. Mountain Time starts. It's like, that's late.
That's
for
like
us.
That's an end time after midnight if it stays in regulation. It's no good.
Yeah, I think this series is going to go 7. I think it's probably going to be back and forth. I think Sharks are I think the Sharks have, like, a blowout win in them against the Knights, but I don't know if I can go against the Knights. Like, I want to every series, but, like, they just win. This is just what they do. They have never not been winning.
It's
ever
true. Well,
in their history.
And I'm also in the same boat. I don't like the Knights doing their, look at us, we just win. As a team that's worked real hard, as a fan of a team that's worked real hard, it's a little frustrating. But even, like, in these games, they've been so close. Like statistically, these teams are very evenly matched, and like, Marc-Andre Fleury is obviously he did great in the regular season, but he is this team. That save he had on Logan Couture in overtime last night, like, those are the kinds of things that you need from your goalie, and I'm seeing way more of that from him than I am from Martin Jones.
How much? So William Karlsson.
Yeah, Bill Karlsson.
Making $1 million this year. He's 25-year-old. Scored 40-some goals.
Yeah.
He is an RFA.
Yeah.
How much does William Karlsson make?
Oh, geez. William Karlsson next year. Are we talking... I'm going to assume that they'll go long-term. So, like, 7 years, right?
It's
like,
7 years.
I'm not going to... Because, like, bridge deals get weird, because that's how Nikita Kucherov's making, like, $4 million or whatever it is that he's making right now. I would assume that if they were to sign him, it would probably have to be 8?
For 7 years.
Yeah.
Oh, I do not like that.
If he does this again,
Well, do you think he's going to do this again?
Probably not, which is probably why I wouldn't sign him. I would try to get him on a short-term deal, right? Like, I would try to sign him. I would use the Kucherov example as that, right? Nikita Kucherov is 24 years old. He's making $4.7 million a year. And this is after he did put up 40 goals and then signed that deal. So, like, to me, I look at that, and that would be my example. I'm like, look, if you want this short deal, that's what I would try to do. I would try to sign him, even with cap going up 2 years, 5, even if it was 2 years, 6. A short deal like that, you're fine with, and then cross the bridge of trying to sign him long-term when you come to that. But I would want him to prove it again, because he hasn't really. And that's like that. The Vegas team is full of that, right? Because they've got Jonathan Marchessault, who for so long, had potential, never lived up to it, and kind of went underrated for so long. Vegas has ponied up long-term on him. He's signed 5 years for, I believe, 6. So, or $5 million for, I believe, 6 years.
Kucherov had 2 seasons of 60 points before he signed his bridge deal.
Yeah. And Karlsson's had what?
1. He has had this season. He scored 6 goals the previous year in Columbus. He scored 9 goals the previous year in Columbus.
How many did he have? What was his point total this year?
78.
Yeah, so
that.
Better. But if I'm Vegas, I'm using the Kucherov as an example, as a jumping off point. That's what I would be looking at, because You don't get much better than what he's doing right now. Like, he's deserving of any contract that a team could or should throw at him.
You can't. Yeah, Karlsson, you can't give him a long-term deal. You just can't.
No.
Bad news.
If you were to assume that on a long-term deal he's going to continue at this rate, that's great, but man, if you miss, you're up a creek.
Your problem is that if you go long-term, you're betting that this is going to be him for the next 6 years.
Yeah, and
you hope you get him in at 7.5, 7.
Yeah.
But if you think he's only going to do this for 1 or 2 more years, you just go bridge and then let him go. Or you can't trade him. No one's going to give you value based off of what he did this past year, because everyone's going to be like, do it again and we'll give you that.
Yeah. Interesting reminder. Columbus paid Vegas a first-round draft pick to ensure that they took William Karlsson. That draft had so many bad ideas by so many teams overvaluing the wrong players.
Seattle's going to be a lot worse, right?
Oh, yeah. No one's going to do the same thing, right? I would say, like, every team should just say, take our 11th best player. We said that at the time. Like, it's your 11th best player. Like, now, sure, you might pick the wrong 11th best player, and it becomes William Karlsson, who's actually good. Yeah. But you should not give a first-round draft pick for your 11th best player.
Yeah, like, you're going to take, like, if I'm, like, thinking, like, of the Leafs 2 years from now, take Zach Hyman. I love Zach Hyman, but he's not worth giving up assets to keep. Take whoever Jake Gardner is at that point. Same thing with any of these teams. Like Tampa, you just be like, okay, fine.
You can have Andre Palat. You can have.
Yeah, like you're not happy about it, but you're just like, okay, it's better than.
Because then essentially it's like, is the difference between my 11th best player and my 12th best player a first-round pick? No, it's like, what, a third, a fourth, if that? Yeah. It's a coin toss, most likely.
So maybe you see teams, so you get teams smarter offering less. Maybe they'll offer third or fourths instead of firsts. So as much as Vegas is doing well, like, they swung and missed on the Thomas Tatar.
Well, the fact that he just got back into the lineup is...
And he hasn't been hurt, right?
No, he's been healthy scratched for the majority of this playoffs.
He's played 3 playoff games. And they've only played 7.
Yeah, all the assets that they gained in that draft for this year, he gave them away for nothing, essentially.
Which is... Man, they still have... What do they have? They don't have a first-round pick this year. They don't have a third. They have a bunch in the 4th to 6th.
Yeah, most of the picks that they got are like either happened last year at the draft or future picks. Because like they have 5 second-round or 6 second-round picks in the next 3 years. So they still have some future value, but
not as much as everyone kind of thinks they do.
No, because if you look at like the drop off in value of a second round pick now versus 1-2 years down the road, it's not that close.
All right, should we get to this last series?
Yeah, Jets and Predators. To me, this is another series that's going 7.
Of all the series, this is the one I want to go 7
for sure. The games in this series have been close. The teams have continually, disliked each other more, which is the goal as fans of what, especially when you don't have a horse in the race. we want to watch teams be competitive, not like each other, and have that aggression to see what comes out of it. And they've been close games, right? Obviously, going to double overtime, or was that single or double in the last game? All I know is that by the time I managed to get myself to a TV, Winnipeg scored.
It was double.
Yeah. And by Winnipeg, I actually mean Nashville.
I was like, I'm fairly certain Nashville won that
Nashville
game.
definitely won that game, yeah. So, Connor Hellebuck had a fantastic game. He was the story of game one with all the saves, which you could say, well, you don't want your goalie to have to put up that kind of a performance every night. And you don't, right? That's not how you win a Stanley Cup, is by having to make 50 saves a night. Not ideal. And the Jets did what they needed to, played a little bit better. Not played a little bit better, played better in game two. I would say in game one, Nashville was the better team and lost. In game two, Winnipeg was the better team and lost. So I guess the goal of this series is don't be better.
I guess. I don't know. Who do you think wins it?
I'd say Winnipeg. Just from what I've seen.
I think it's Winnipeg too. I want it to be the Preds. I want the Preds to go back to the finals.
Yeah, you want a second chance for them?
Preds Tampa. That's what I want in the finals.
Okay. Well, let's see if we can get that for you.
Do you have any pull? Can you pay off some refs?
I don't. I'm actually currently trying to use every amount of pull that I have to get Tuukka Rask on this show. That's the goal here.
That is, if you do that, this is going to be a great day.
Let's talk some high sticking. Can we go there? Do you have any more thoughts on this round of the playoffs so far?
Oh, let's go. We're up against the time here.
Yeah, the clock is running out. Two very important things for high sticking. One, we're going to crown a winner very shortly from the first round of the playoffs. The final tally of points was 433 high sticking points were handed out in the first round of the playoffs. Ton of points. What we also have is our friend Mike Laybourne. We all know and love Mike Laybourne. Mm-hmm. He did some digging. He's been actually doing his own tracking of high sticking. What are the hand motions?
I was just mimicking you.
Oh, continue. was I hand talking?
Apparently, it's easy to distract Carl today.
I'm very easily distracted. Do you want? So, if you were to pick, we obviously do not participate in high sticking. If you were to participate, would you have a strategy?
My strategy is always pick good players.
So pick the best players, right? I think that's smart. The leader in the clubhouse for the most points off game-winning goals in the first round, who would you say it was?
First round?
First round.
I'd say one. I'm going to go Kucherov. Let's go Kucherov.
It's Nikita Kucherov. 9 points for him. Tomas Hertl in second with 7. Sean Couturier in third.
He had a really good first round. I would have probably gone past that because he has like literally all the points.
Right.
I guess he got.
I also assumed that, but not the case. He was, I believe, 14th in scoring. But what interests me the most is if I were to play, I would always pick the best forward on every team, right?
Right.
And turns out that the best way to do it, at least if we use the small sample size of the first round of the playoffs, centers had 34% of high sticking points. Left wingers, right wingers, and defensemen at 22, 22, and 21%.
Those centers go
so with. If you're looking, according to the first round of the playoffs, if you want to make that happen, centers are the way to go. 96 different players had points on.
So just pick someone.
So it's random. We had none in the first round. Braden Holtby, game number 2, had an assist on the game winner. He was the first goalie in the playoffs to have a point in high sticking.
How much time did Mike put into this?
I think he just tracks it every day. What he didn't do was tell us he was doing this until after he was like, "Oh, just so you know, I want to bring some stats for you. I'm going to send them out on the Twitter. You follow him at Mike Laybourne. Great stuff, not just high sticking, but he's usually tweeting games and sharing his hockey writing. So give him a follow. But yeah, he just did it because he was interested. He wanted to find out the best way so that he could win. Shockingly, after his research in the first round of the playoffs, he told us all of his tips and tricks. He's winning round 2.
Interesting.
So clearly, so far, he's the leader with 10 points in round 2. We'll see how it goes for him tonight. Has he gotten in his picks for tonight's games? He went Gensel, Ovi, Scheifele, and Watson are his picks for Tuesday night's games. But
should we pick? We got to pick a winner.
We do have to pick a winner.
Round 1.
So from the random number, we have 336 points with... No, I said 336 because that's the number that got drawn out of the hat. What it actually is was 433.
Who's number 336?
Do you know who number 336 is?
I don't.
Daniel Rice, our friend Dan Rice. Congrats, Dan, on winning this round of high sticking. Let us know where to send your loot to. Yeah, congrats. We will be switching over now that we've drawn the name. The official standings on thefourthlinepodcast.com/high-sticking will be changed over to have the second round of the playoffs. So go to thefourthlinepodcast.com, click on the button at the top that says high-sticking, and you can find the standings and find out that Mike Laybourne's winning. You already know that. But now you will be able to confirm and find out where you are. So congrats to Dan. Congrats to everyone who played. We will be getting that out to you very shortly. Your Pavel Bray must-watch games of the week are... shockingly, Joel, the playoffs. That's what you should watch.
Like every playoff game.
You should watch every playoff game.
I'm going to watch the Raptors tonight beat LeBron. How about that?
That sounds good, too. Make sure to watch the Raptors. Make sure to watch the rest of the playoffs. Joel, you know what else you could watch?
What?
June 7th, something called the Inventures Conference. It's in Calgary. The Alberta Podcast Network, powered by ATB, is putting on a live show. Nice. During this conference, they're going to be putting on a show. It's called Podcast Connect, a talk fest about the future. You'll get to see some of the people from the Alberta Podcast Network, That's So Maven, the Work Not Work Show, A Branded World, and Future Chat are going to be talking about all kinds of innovations happening in the world of podcasting. ATB is going to be there. They're going to be answering questions about things that they're doing, AI, robotics, something called blockchain. These are all very futuristic words. I think if you ask them real nicely, they might tell you how you can hack the mainframe. Other tech words like that. If you want to, you can come for as many shows as you like. It's free. That's the great part about it. All you have to do is register. Go to podcastsconnect.eventbrite.ca. podcastsconnect.eventbrite.ca. And you can head over to albertapodcastnetwork.com where you can learn more about this show and other events happening at the Alberta Podcast Network. It's good. I love something that's free. So that's a selling.
Free stuff's good.
Free stuff is great. We are free thanks to the Alberta Podcast Network and those who support us and the show. Thank you for tuning in. You can find us on Twitter. You can play High Sticking over at The Fourth Line Podcast. It's actually not The Fourth Line Podcast. It is Fourth Line Podcast, no the.
Google us.
You would think
Just
that
kidding.
we would know it.
Don't do that.
Bing us.
Bing us.
Yeah. Joel had a temporary lapse there. Bing Fourth Line Podcast Twitter. You can find us, or go to twitter.com/fourthlinepodcast, facebook.com/the Fourth Line Podcast, thefourthlinepodcast.com. Obviously, you know where to find us. We're on all of the podcast catchers. If you wanted to leave us a review somewhere, we'd like that. Those are fun. Tell us how much you like us, and that Joel, maybe it'll make Joel have more fun than he does at Slow Pitch. Until next week, where we will be back with another episode after some more playoff games.
Boom City.